Tonight you drift into the year when the Nile was the spine of the world, when kings called themselves gods and men bowed until their backs broke beneath the weight of gold and silence. You are carried not by oars but by the hush of sand, by the burning breath of torches that paint the walls of palaces red. You walk barefoot across stone floors, cool as tombs. Incense coils in the air, thick and sweet, yet it does not hide the stench of sweat, of dust, of blood, ground into the cracks of the court. Every shadow stretches long, shaped not only by flame but by the gaze of statues, hawk-headed, jackal-headed, falcon-eyed. They do not move, yet you feel them watching. Perhaps they are gods, perhaps they are only stone, perhaps there is no difference. In the court of the Pharaoh you are nothing more than a shadow yourself, a servant, a witness, a body among countless others, bowed, bent, waiting for a command that may never come. Around you, voices whisper in languages half remembered, prayers rise like smoke, and silence presses like a chain. The desert waits beyond the walls, endless and star-crowned. The Nile murmurs nearby, black and wide, carrying offerings and secrets alike, and within these walls, ritual and power coil tighter than rope, binding you into a life you cannot escape. Tonight you will not rule. Tonight you will not feast. Tonight you drift into the Pharaoh's court, and you will not survive a day. Now, close your eyes and step softly into the first chamber. You sleep where you are told, not where you wish. In the Pharaoh's court, even rest is not yours to claim. The floor is stone, cool beneath your ribs, dusted with sand carried in by sandals and wind. The air is heavy, thick with incense burned to please gods who never speak, mixed with the sour musk of sweat, of unwashed cloth, of the Nile's damp breath, drifting in through open slits in the wall. When you close your eyes, the stone does not soften. It only reminds you that your body is not your own. You lie in the servants' quarters, though to call them quarters is too kind. It is a long corridor tucked behind the great halls, low-ceilinged, dim, filled with bodies pressed shoulder to shoulder. Mats of straw are scattered thin, most of them rotten, their edges alive with lice and ants. If you are lucky, you find a patch where the vermin have already eaten their fill. If not, you lie still and let them crawl, their tiny feet tracing your skin like whispers of forgotten curses. The others around you groan in their sleep. Some mutter names of gods, some curse the Pharaoh even in dreams, some whimper as if they are children again. The sound never ends. A cough in one corner, a moan in another, the rustle of rats searching for crumbs in the straw. The dark is alive with small noises, a chorus of misery that rocks you into uneasy rest. Above you, the walls whisper too, painted with figures of falcons, jackals and kings, their colours faded but not gone. By torchlight their eyes flicker, shifting in the gloom as though watching you. Perhaps they are. Perhaps the dead pharaohs carved into the walls lean down to count your breaths, to measure your worth, to judge your silence. You do not know if it is blessing or curse to sleep beneath their gaze. The heat never leaves. Even at night, the stone holds the sun's fire. You sweat as you lie still, the damp clinging to your tunic, soaking into the straw beneath. You shift to escape it, but the damp follows. The air grows thick, harder to breathe, pressing against your chest until you wake gasping, certain the stone itself is crushing you. Around you, others do the same. Their chests heave, their lips part, their eyes open wide in the dark, and then slowly they close again, drifting back into dreams that are not kind. When sleep comes, it comes shallow. You dream of cool water, of linen sheets, of shadows that do not watch. You dream of silence, but the dream always twists. The water fills your lungs, the linen wraps your body tight, binding you like a corpse. The shadows lean closer, whispering words you cannot understand. You wake with your heart pounding, your throat dry, your tongue thick with dust. You wake, and you know you have only slept for moments. Sometimes, in the deepest part of night, when the palace grows still, you hear other sounds, footsteps echoing through the corridors, slow and measured, the creak of doors opening, though no servant is meant to rise, a low chant carried by the wind, words that taste of blood and fire. You press yourself flat against the stone, eyes closed, praying the footsteps do not pause by you. They pass, always, but not without leaving their mark. When morning comes, one of the mats is empty. The body that lay there has vanished. No one asks where, no one answers. You know better than to question. The Pharaoh's court is not only a place of service, it is a place of sacrifice. The guards never sleep. Their sandals scrape the floor outside. Their spears clink against stone. They watch even as you try to sleep, though you never see their eyes in the dark. You know they are there. You feel the weight of their presence. If you stir too loudly, a cough, a word, a shift too harsh, the butt of a spear finds you quick. Silence is safer than breath. Stillness safer than sleep. Your stomach groans as you lie awake. Hunger does not let you rest. The day's bread was thin, the onions bitter, the scraps of fish long gone. Your body gnaws at itself, ribs aching, mouth dry. You think of the Pharaoh's table, heavy with meats and wine, with figs and honey, with bread soft as clouds. You think of him sleeping in linen, on a bed carved of cedar, his skin anointed with oil, his breath scented with lotus. You think of him dreaming not of hunger, but of eternity. You lie on stone, you dream of scraps, and you know the gods chose him, not you. And yet, there are moments of strange peace. When the moonlight slips through the cracks in the wall, silvering the dust, painting soft patterns across the stone. When the chorus of groans grows quiet for a breath, and only the Nile's murmur can be heard beyond the walls. In that fragile stillness, you almost believe you are safe. The stone does not crush you. The shadows do not whisper. The guards do not stir. You close your eyes, and for a moment the palace feels like a tomb. A tomb is still. A tomb is cool. A tomb is eternal. Perhaps that is the closest you will ever come to peace. You sleep because you must. You sleep because the tasks of tomorrow will break you if you do not. You sleep, though the stone is hard, though the air is heavy, though the shadows lean close. You sleep, knowing that the Pharaoh does not, that the gods do not, that eternity itself does not. You sleep because the body yields when the soul cannot. And as your breath slows, as the whispers fade, you almost believe you are free, until the footsteps return, and the torches flare, and the day begins again. You wear linen, though it is not the linen of kings. It is coarse, rough, woven by hands as tired as your own. Once it may have been white. Now it is the colour of dust, streaked with sweat, stained by the grease of labour, the grime of the city, the smoke of torches that never go out. It scratches your skin until it reddens. It clings to your body when the heat rises. It chills you when the desert air grows cold at night. There is no comfort in it. Only reminder, you are a servant, and servants are not meant to be comfortable. The tunic hangs loose, bound at the waist with a rope of frayed fibre. The knot digs into your belly when you bend, when you carry, when you kneel, and you kneel often. The rope leaves a red line across your skin, a mark that lingers long after you strip the cloth away at night. You know the line will remain until you are gone, perhaps even longer. Your feet are bare more often than not. When sandals are given, they are leather-cracked and thin, straps biting into your flesh, soles worn smooth, stones slice through them. Heat sears through them. They protect you from nothing. When they break, you walk barefoot on sand hot enough to blister, on stone sharp enough to cut, on mud thick with dung. Your toes bleed, your heels split, but you do not complain. To complain is to invite the lash, and so you carry on, your blood soaking into the ground, your footprints erased by the next passing guard. On your head, sometimes a strip of cloth tied to catch the sweat before it blinds you. It grows stiff with salt, heavy with grime. You wash it in the Nile when you can, but the river is never clean. It gives back silt, clay, leeches, the stink of offerings that rot along its banks. You press the cloth against your brow anyway, because even filth is better than blindness. Jewelry is forbidden to you. Gold belongs to the Pharaoh, silver belongs to the priests, bronze belongs to the guards. You own nothing, and yet sometimes a bead slips into your hand, broken, discarded, lost from a noble's necklace. You hide it, clutch it in the dark. Imagine it has power, a charm against the god's silence, a token of protection. But when morning comes, you let it fall back into the dust. To be caught with it would mean punishment. Better empty hands than bound ones. The nobles in the court glitter. Their linen is fine, translucent, smooth as water. Their collars shine with faience beads, blue as the sky, green as the Nile, gold as the sun. Their wigs are oiled, their eyes darkened with kohl, their bodies perfumed with lotus and myrrh. They walk past you, their sandals clean, their laughter sharp, their shadows falling across your face. You lower your eyes, not to hide shame, but to hide envy. You smell their perfumes, you see the way their linen moves like light itself, and you remember your own garments stiff with sweat. You know the difference between a god and a slave is measured in cloth, that even the fine linen cannot hide decay. The nobles sweat beneath their perfume, their wigs itch, their beads crack, their sandals wear thin. All flesh rots, no matter what it wears. You remind yourself of this in silence, in secret. The Pharaoh himself will one day wear only bandages, white as bone, stiff as your own tunic, and be buried beneath stone. The gods may not hear you, but the dirt will. At night, when you strip away the tunic, you see the marks it leaves, rope lines across your waist, dust ground into your skin, lice crawling along the seams. You scratch until you bleed, you scratch until you tire, and still they return. You tell yourself the itching is proof you live, that the cloth itself is reminding you of your breath. Without it, perhaps you would vanish. Sometimes the priests pass, their robes clean, their heads shaved, their skin gleaming with oil. They look at you as though you are nothing, and perhaps you are. Your cloth is ragged, theirs is holy. Your sweat stains, theirs perfumes. Yet when night falls, when the temple empties, when their robes are folded, they sleep as you sleep, beneath the same silent gods. You wonder if their dreams are any softer. The heat of the day makes your tunic heavy, damp with sweat. The chill of the night makes it a thin veil against cold. It never fits. It never helps. It is never enough. And yet, without it, you would be naked before the court, before the guards. Nakedness is shame. Nakedness is death. So you wear it still, though it binds, though it burns, though it bruises. And you realize this. What you wear is not clothing. It is your station, your silence, your chains. The tunic is the mark of your servitude. The rope is the line of your obedience. The sandals, when you have them, are the measure of your suffering. You do not dress yourself. The court dresses you in dust, in sweat, in silence. Still, you pull the cloth tighter, tie the rope firmer, step into the sandals even when they cut, because what else is there to do? You clothe yourself in survival, nothing more. And when you lie down again, when you close your eyes upon the stone floor, you almost believe the linen is softer. You almost believe the rope loosens. You almost believe you are clothed in something kinder than servitude. Until dawn comes and the court rises and you are summoned again, clothed not in comfort but in chains. Your first task is given before the sun has risen. You are shaken awake while the stars still hang above the Nile, while the torches of the palace gutter low, while the statues of gods stare unblinking into the dark. There is no voice of kindness, no gentle stirring. A hand grips your shoulder, rough, commanding. You rise because there is no choice. The first task is always the same. Labour. The form shifts, but the weight never lessens. Some mornings you carry jars of water from the Nile, each heavier than your body wishes to bear. The clay scrapes your arms, the handles cut your palms, the water sloshes against your chest, soaking your tunic until it clings cold and damp. You stagger across the stone, careful not to spill, careful not to stumble. A drop wasted is a crime. A jar broken is a curse. The lash waits for both. Other mornings you sweep the palace floors, not with brooms soft as reed, but with bundles of brittle twigs that scratch and break, that scatter dust more than they gather. You sweep and sweep, though the sand never ends. It pours in through doorways, drifts in through windows, falls from the very air. You sweep the same patch of stone again and again, knowing that by the next hour it will be coated once more. You sweep, and the dust laughs at you. There are mornings when the first task is grinding grain. You kneel before the stone, hands red and raw, pressing the pestle down again and again until your arms tremble. Barley crumbles, oats split, flour gathers in the grooves. You cough as the dust fills your lungs, your lips dry, your throat raw. You grind until your muscles burn, until your knees bruise against stone, until the overseer finally allows you to stop. And then another servant takes your place, and the rhythm begins again. Sometimes the task is tending the Pharaoh's animals. You shovel dung, thick and steaming, heavy with stench that clings to your skin long after. You carry fodder, barley husks that scratch your arms, reeds that cut your hands. The animals eat better than you. Their stalls are cleaner than where you sleep. They look at you with wide eyes, chewing slowly as if to mock you. You bow your head anyway. Even beasts live closer to the Pharaoh than you do. Other mornings you are sent to the temple halls. There your task is silence. You sweep the floors of shrines, wipe the soot from oil lamps, polish the altars until your reflection wavers faintly on the stone. You do not look at the statues too long. Hawk-headed Horus, jackal-headed Anubis, ibis-headed Thoth. Their carved eyes seem to follow you. Their painted lips seem ready to speak. You wonder if they whisper to the priests in the night, if they mock your bowed head, your bent back, your endless silence. But you do not ask. You only polish. You only bow. When the Pharaoh stirs, the tasks grow heavier. You carry jugs of scented oil for his body. You fetch baskets of fruit, figs and dates you will never taste. You prepare his sandals, gilded and clean, though your own feet bleed. You hold the fan made of ostrich feathers, waving it slowly to cool his skin, though the heat boils your own blood. You stand at the edge of the chamber, invisible, still, waiting, always waiting. Your body bends to each task, but your mind wanders. You wonder what it would be like to refuse, to let the jar fall, to let the broom still, to let the fan droop. You wonder if the gods would notice, if they would laugh, if they would strike you down themselves. But you never act on it. You know the lash would come before the gods ever did. And so you bow, and so you work. The first task always leads to the second to the third. The day unravels like a rope. Each knot another command, another burden, another humiliation. By midday your body aches. By nightfall your hands bleed. By the time you return to the stone floor where you sleep, you no longer know if the tasks are yours or if you are theirs. You begin to feel like nothing more than an extension of the broom, of the pestle, of the rope. Your body is tool, not flesh. And yet there are moments within the tasks when something almost holy flickers, when the sun rises over the Nile, turning the water gold as you carry jars across the courtyard, when the grain, ground smooth beneath your hands, becomes flour, white and soft, promising bread to someone above you, when the temple lamps glow, their light trembling like stars trapped in stone. In those moments the task feels larger than you. It feels eternal. It feels like the work itself is the prayer, even if the gods do not answer. But those moments pass quickly. The jars break. The broom scatters more dust. The flour is stolen by rats. The lamps are snuffed by wind, and you are left again with nothing but labour, endless and heavy, dragging you forward into the next day, the next command, the next silence. At night you lie on stone, your body raw, your mind heavy. You tell yourself tomorrow the task will be easier, tomorrow it will be kinder, tomorrow it may end, but the truth waits for you in silence. The tasks never end. They change, they shift, they mock you with new shapes, but they never end. Still, you close your eyes. Still, you breathe. Still, you sleep, because there is nothing else to do. The tasks will come again. The lash will come again. The silence will come again. You surrender, not to the gods, not to the Pharaoh, but to sleep itself. Sleep is your only rebellion, your only escape, your only mercy. And in that drifting, just before you sink away, you almost believe you are free. Almost. Until the torchlight returns, and the first task is given once more. The palace is never silent, even when the torches gutter, even when the Pharaoh sleeps, even when the desert beyond lies still beneath the stars. The court hums with voices. They come from every corner, every corridor, every chamber where stone meets shadow. They are not yours, though you live inside them, you cannot escape them. The first voices are the overseers, sharp, clipped, barking orders with the rhythm of the lash. Their tone is iron, their words like blows. They do not speak to you so much as at you, as though you are rope or clay or water to be moved, not a body with ears or breath. Their voices carry across courtyards, echoing against walls, drilling into your skull, until even in sleep you hear them still. Faster, kneel, lift, sweep. The commands repeat until they blur into one endless sound, the voice of labour itself. The priests speak differently. Their voices are soft but sharp as reeds. They chant in low tones, their words curling like smoke around altars and statues. You do not understand all of it. Prayers to Osiris, invocations to Horus, hymns to Ra, but you feel their weight. Each syllable clings to your skin, heavy as oil, binding you tighter to gods who do not answer. When the priests pass, their whispers linger in your ears long after. You carry their voices like chains you cannot remove. Then come the voices of the nobles, high, bright, sometimes cruel, sometimes careless. They laugh at feasts, their words slick with honey and wine. They murmur schemes in corners, plotting wealth and power, their tones low but sharp enough to cut. They do not lower their voices for you, because to them you are not present. You are invisible, a shadow holding a jug, a hand fanning feathers, a body kneeling at the edge of their sight. Their voices wash over you, and yet they mark you, carving envy into your ribs, carving silence into your throat. But the strongest voices are those of the servants, your own kind, though no less haunting. The cough of the man beside you, raw and endless, rattling through the night. The mutters of women grinding grain, whispering curses beneath their breath. The quiet weeping of a child pressed into work too soon. The groans of bodies bending, lifting, breaking. These sounds are constant, rising from every chamber, every corridor. You know them better than your own breath. You know the coughs by rhythm, the groans by pitch, the mutters by cadence. These are your music. This is your lullaby. And then there are the voices you cannot place. Whispers that come at night, sliding along stone walls like serpents. You hear them in the servant quarters, when the others sleep, when you lie awake staring at the painted eyes above. They murmur names you do not know, words you cannot repeat. Sometimes they rise from the floors themselves, as if the dead pharaohs carved into the walls still speak in the dark. Sometimes they drift from the temple halls, half prayers, half curses, the difference impossible to tell. You press your palms to your ears, but the whispers seep through, low and endless. The guards speak little, but when they do, their voices carry threat, a grunt, a bark, a muttered insult. They do not need words to command. Their spears speak louder. Their sandals scrape stone with the weight of authority. Still you remember their voices because they are rare, and rare things are sharp. A single order from a guard can bind your day as tightly as rope. You begin to wonder whose voices are truly human and whose are something else. The chants of priests sound like wind groaning through temple halls. The laughter of nobles echoes like hyenas in the desert. The coughs of servants rasp like the Nile dragging reeds against its banks. Even your own voice, when you dare to whisper, feels strange, thin, fragile, quickly swallowed by the palace's vast silence. Sometimes you hear the Pharaoh himself. His words are not for you, never for you, but they reach you nonetheless. His voice is deep, slow, heavy, with certainty. It does not rise. It does not break. It carries not because it shouts, but because all others hush when it speaks. You do not always understand his words, laws, decrees, judgments, but you feel them in your spine. They settle into your body like stone. They remind you that his voice is not a man's voice, but a god's, at least within these walls, and you, a shadow, are crushed beneath it. The palace is built of voices. Every chamber has its own. In the kitchens, the crackle of fire mixes with cooks, shouting for knives and water. In the courts, the drone of scribes reciting lists of taxes, names of villages, the weight of grain. In the temples, the endless chanting, low and ceaseless, prayers stitched into the air, until even silence hums with them. In the halls, the echoes of sandals, whispers of servants, the occasional cry of someone struck. And yet, beneath it all, there is another sound, the sound of silence that waits when the voices stop. It is heavier than noise, sharper than command. It comes suddenly, when a guard enters, when the Pharaoh speaks, when a priest raises a hand. Silence falls, and it crushes. You feel it press into your chest, stealing your breath, freezing your limbs. That silence is louder than all the voices together. That silence is the true master of the court. At night, when you lie on stone, the voices follow you. You hear them in your dreams. Chants, curses, laughter, coughs. They twist together until you cannot tell which are real, which are memory, which are illusion. You wake, and still you hear them. You try to cover your ears, but the palace speaks through stone, through air, through blood. There is no silence, not for you. And when you finally drift, when sleep finally takes you, the voices soften into something almost kind. They hum like a river, like reeds bending in the wind, like lullabies you never knew. You sink into them, and for a moment you almost believe they are singing you to rest. Until morning comes, and the first shout echoes through the hall, and the voices rise again, endless as the Nile. In the Pharaoh's court, every day begins and ends with ritual. You think at first that work drives the palace, that labour moves its stone, that command bends its bodies. But you learn quickly, it is ritual that binds it all together. Without ritual the walls would crack, the gods would turn away, the Nile would dry, and the Pharaoh would no longer be eternal. Or so you are told. The first ritual comes before dawn. A priest strikes flint, lights the oil lamp, and the flame sputters, coughs, then rises tall. Incense is burned, smoke curling into the dark, its scent thick and sweet, filling your lungs until you cough. You bow low, pressing your forehead to the floor, the stone cold and slick with offerings poured days before. The priests chant words in a tongue older than you, older than your father, older than the Pharaoh himself. You do not understand them, but you do not need to. They rise and fall like the Nile's own current. The sound itself is what matters. The statues loom in the half-light, falcon eyes of Horus, the jackal's teeth of Anubis, the lion's mane of Sekhmet, the ibis beak of Thoth. Their painted eyes gleam as though alive, as though they watch you kneel. Perhaps they do, perhaps they do not. You wonder if the gods dwell in them, or if they are simply stone, but you bow anyway, because not bowing is death. You pour water from the Nile into bowls. You carry it carefully, the surface trembling, your arms shaking with the effort of keeping it still. If it spills, the lash waits. If it breaks, exile waits. The water is offered to the gods, though you know the gods need nothing. The priests sprinkle it onto the statues, into the air, onto the floor. It soaks into your hair as you bow again. You do not lift your head. You do not wipe your brow. Sometimes blood is offered. A bird's throat slit, its wings trembling before they fall still. A goat led forward, its eyes wide, its cries sharp, cut short by the blade. The blood runs into bowls, dark and steaming, carried to altars, smeared on stone. You are told the gods drink it. You are told they hunger for it. You are told that without it, famine and plague would rise. You do not doubt it, because you cannot. Doubt is more dangerous than hunger. Other rituals are smaller, but no less binding. When you sweep the Pharaoh's hall, you must do it from east to west, never north to south. When you grind grain, you must chant with each push of stone, words you barely remember but dare not forget. When you pour wine into the Pharaoh's cup, you must lift it high first, bow low, let the gods taste the offering before the king. Every act is framed, every movement shaped, every breath accounted for. At midday the great ritual comes. The Pharaoh himself appears, carried on a chair, gold gleaming on his brow, linen pure and white, skin shining with oil. He does not walk. His feet do not touch the ground. You bow until your forehead cracks against stone, until your ribs ache, until you cannot breathe. You do not lift your eyes, but you feel his presence like fire. He is man, yes, but he is also God, or so the priests say, and you do not dare question. His voice is slow, heavy, final. He blesses the Nile. He blesses the grain. He blesses the war that waits in the desert. And you believe, not because you choose, but because belief is the only air you are allowed to breathe. Evening comes, and with it the final ritual. Torches flare, chants rise again. Offerings are carried out into the dark. Bread, figs, jars of beer, pieces of fish, bowls of honey. You will never taste them. They are laid before the gods, then carried away, then eaten by the priests, who tell you the gods have taken their share. You bow again, though your stomach burns with emptiness. The gods are fed, the Pharaoh is fed, the priests are fed. You, the shadow, wait for scraps. And in the shadows there are other rituals, the ones whispered about, never spoken of openly. You hear them at night, drums low, voices rising, footsteps echoing through corridors you are forbidden to walk. You hear laughter, sharp and strange. You see torches flicker where no torches should be. And in the morning one of the servants is gone, their mat empty, their name never spoken again. You do not ask. You do not wonder aloud. You know better. Some rituals demand silence. Some rituals demand sacrifice. Your body learns the motions before your mind does. Your hands know how to bow, how to lift, how to pour, how to polish, without thought. The rhythm is carved into you, a second skeleton. Sometimes you catch yourself bowing even when no one watches. Sometimes you murmur chants without meaning to. Sometimes you wake in the night with your hands pressed together, your lips moving silently. The ritual has entered you. You are no longer separate from it. You wonder, sometimes, if the gods hear, if they lean close when the incense burns, when the blood spills, when the chants rise, or if they are as silent as the statues that bear their faces. You wonder if the Pharaoh truly believes, or if belief itself is only another ritual, a costume worn as carefully as linen, as carefully as gold. You wonder, but you never speak it. Thought itself can be punishment. Still, in the dim light, in the smoke, in the endless repetition, there is something that soothes. Ritual is weight, but it is also rhythm. It holds you steady when the world would crumble. It gives shape to your silence, form to your emptiness. You bow, you chant, you pour, you bleed, you bow again, and in that endless circle there is peace. Not freedom, not joy, but peace. At night, as the last torch is snuffed, as the priests retreat, as the guards settle into their posts, you lie once more on stone. The incense still clings to your hair, the chants still echo in your ears, the blood still stains your hands. You close your eyes, and you almost believe the gods are near. You almost believe the Pharaoh's blessing reaches you. You almost believe the ritual protects you. Until the footsteps return and the chants rise again, and the cycle begins once more. You do not eat when you are hungry. You eat when you are allowed. In the Pharaoh's court, meals are not for pleasure, but for order, for hierarchy, for reminder. They come not as gifts, but as chains. The food arrives in baskets, carried from storerooms you will never see, past kitchens where slaves work over fires hotter than the desert sun, past guards who take their share, past scribes who mark every fig, every onion, every jar of beer. By the time it reaches you, the meal is already stripped of mercy. The bread is flat, hard, cracked. It tastes of sand more than of grain, grit crunching between your teeth, scratching your gums until they bleed. Still, you chew, you suck on each piece to soften it, to pretend it is soft, to pretend it is fresh. Sometimes mould grows at the edges, green spreading like ink. You scrape it off with your thumb and eat what remains. To waste bread is worse than to eat rot. Onions are common, their smell clinging to your breath, their taste sharp enough to sting your eyes. You bite them raw, crunching each layer, swallowing the bitterness. They fill your stomach but not your body. Hunger still gnaws beneath, quiet, endless, patient. Fish comes dried from the Nile, stiff as wood, salt clinging to every bone. You chew until your jaw aches, spit out splinters that pierce your tongue, suck the last threads of flesh. The salt burns your lips, dries your throat, makes you thirstier than before. Still you gnaw, because you must. Once in a while a scrap of meat. Goat, lamb, more often sinew than flesh, more often fat than sweetness. You gnaw at it until your teeth ache, swallow gristle, lick grease from your fingers. You savour it, though it is hardly worth savouring. By the time it is gone, the hunger returns sharper than before, mocking you for believing you were satisfied. Beer is given too, dark and cloudy, thick with sediment, sour at the edges. It is no feast. It is medicine. It dulls the ache in your belly, softens the memory of labour, makes you drowsy enough to keep moving. You drink, and it fills you not with joy but with heaviness, with the same weight as stone pressing down. You drink anyway because water is rationed, and thirst kills quicker than hunger. The Pharaoh eats elsewhere. His table groans with roasted meats, figs dripping with honey, loaves soft as clouds, wine poured into golden cups. You know this not because you see it, but because you smell it. The air drifts from his chambers, rich, thick, intoxicating. It reaches you where you crouch over your scrap of bread, and for a moment it feels like mockery. You taste his feast only in the air, never on your tongue. Sometimes, when the court is celebrating, a festival for the Nile, a victory in war, a feast for the gods, more food appears. Dates, sweet as nectar, cucumbers, cool and crisp, flatbreads smeared with oil. For a heartbeat, you almost believe you are human again, not shadow, not servant, not forgotten body. You eat until your stomach protests. You laugh with the others, though the laughter is thin, brittle, desperate, and then it is gone. The next day the bread is stale again, the onions bitter again, the hunger endless again. Rats join you at every meal. They scurry between legs, dart across mats, their eyes gleaming in the firelight. They gnaw the same bread, chew the same scraps, lick the same grease from the floor. You do not chase them away. To chase them is to waste energy. To kill them is to invite flies. Better to share. Better to pretend you do not see them. They are servants too, as much a part of the court as you. The priests tell you the gods are fed first, that offerings of bread and beer are left at the altars. that the statues themselves consume the essence. You do not see this. You only see the priests eating later, wiping crumbs from their lips, sipping wine from cups that never reach you. Still you bow your head when they pass. Still you whisper thanks when your own crust of bread is handed to you. It is safer to believe. It is safer to pretend. Hunger shapes you. Your belly hollows, your ribs rise, your arms thin. Your body grows sharp like the tools you carry, like the whips you fear. And yet, somehow, you endure. You learn to eat slowly, to let each bite linger, to chew long enough that your mind pretends you are full. You learn to drink water in secret when you can, scooping with your hands from jars meant for the Pharaoh's garden, the taste of clay clinging to your tongue. You learn that hunger is not an enemy, but a companion. It never leaves, but it teaches you how to walk more slowly, how to bend more carefully, how to forget more quickly. At night, you dream of food. Soft bread, dripping honey, roasted duck, grapes bursting with juice. You dream of tables heavy with figs, of wine that burns your throat with sweetness, of cakes offered in temples but never to you. You dream of eating until you cannot move, of sleeping with a full stomach, of waking without hunger gnawing your ribs. But when you wake, your mouth is dry, your belly hollow, your breath sharp with onions and beer. Dreams are crueler than hunger. And still, the ritual repeats. Bread, onions. Fish, beer. Bread, onions. Fish, beer. The cycle is endless as sweeping, as endless as bowing, as endless as silence. You learn to see it not as suffering but as rhythm. You chew, you swallow, you wait, and in that rhythm there is a strange peace. Not comfort, not joy, but peace. When you lie down again, your hunger curls with you, wrapping around your ribs, pressing into your spine. It whispers that tomorrow will be the same, that nothing will change, that hunger is your god now. You believe it. You have no choice but to believe it. And as you close your eyes, as the taste of stale bread lingers on your tongue, you almost believe you are full. Almost. Until morning comes and the meal returns, meagre and merciless, endless as the Nile itself. In the Pharaoh's court, punishment is not an exception. It is the rhythm beneath the rhythm, the truth behind the silence, the shadow that follows every step. You live with it, as surely as you live with hunger. It waits in every glance from a guard, in every word from a priest, in every command barked from the overseers. The lash is the most familiar, leather-cured, stiff, hardened with salt, wielded by hands that know its weight better than their own names. It hisses through the air, splits the silence, lands with a crack that echoes down stone corridors. You hear it long before you feel it. The sound is enough to bend your spine, enough to set your body trembling, and when it lands, across your back, across your legs, across your shoulders, the fire sears deeper than heat, sharper than claws. You stagger, you gasp, but you do not cry out. Crying out feeds them, silence starves them, so you bite your tongue until blood fills your mouth, and you endure. Hunger itself becomes punishment. A meal withheld, a portion cut smaller, a jug passed over you as though you do not exist. One day without bread bends your knees, 2 days makes your vision swim, 3 days makes you believe you are already in the afterlife. The overseers know this. They use it carefully, cruelly, reminding you that food is not survival but mercy, and mercy is theirs to give or take. There is punishment in exile, though you never leave the palace. Exile is being dragged into a corner, forced to kneel alone, forbidden to speak, forbidden to look up. Hours pass, the heat burns your neck, the cold stone bruises your knees, the silence grows heavier than sound. You begin to hear whispers, not from others, but from the walls themselves. You wonder if the punishment is not exile from men, but exile from the gods. You wonder if they have turned their faces from you forever. Sometimes the punishment is spectacle, a servant beaten before all, his cries filling the hall while others kneel, heads lowered, mouths shut. You do not look up, but you hear every strike, every sob. You feel it in your own skin, though the lash does not touch you. And when it is done, when the body lies still, when the overseers walk away, no one moves to help. To help is to invite the lash yourself. So you kneel, you bow, you whisper no word. Silence is demanded. Silence is safer. Silence is the only shield you have. There are punishments darker still, whispers of men taken at night, dragged from their mats, never to be seen again. You do not know where they go. Into the dungeons beneath the palace, into the desert beyond its walls, into the river, weighted with stone, fed to crocodiles as offerings to Sobek. You never ask. To ask is to join them. And so you lie awake when footsteps echo through the corridor, praying they pass you by, praying they choose another. Even the gods punish. When plague sweeps through the city, when fever takes one servant and then another, you are told it is the hand of Sekhmet, lion-headed and merciless. When the Nile fails to flood, leaving fields cracked and barren, you are told it is the judgment of Osiris. When sandstorms rise, blotting out the sun, you are told it is Set, laughing in chaos. You bow lower, you chant longer, you bleed more freely, but still the punishments fall. You begin to believe the gods do not punish to correct. They punish simply because they can. And yet, punishment shapes you. It bends you like reed, hardens you like clay, hollows you like bone. It teaches you silence, teaches you endurance, teaches you that breath itself is rebellion. You learn to move quietly, to keep your head low, to never draw the eye. You learn that survival is not in strength, but in invisibility. You tell yourself you can endure it, that each lash will heal, that each hunger will pass, that each silence will end. But deep down you know the truth. The punishments never end. They are not storms that pass. They are the Nile itself, constant, eternal, flowing through every hour of your life. Still, you sleep. Somehow, you sleep. The stone welcomes your bruises. The darkness cools your lashes. The silence soothes your hunger. Sleep is the only place where punishment does not follow. It cannot reach you there. Not fully. You sink into it like water, like sand, like shadow, and for a moment, you believe yourself free. Until morning comes and the lash coils again, patient as the gods' silence, certain as the Nile's flood. The body may be bound to stone, to rope, to lash, to hunger, but the mind slips elsewhere. When your eyes close at last, when the corridors grow still, when the guard's sandals scrape faintly in the distance, when the torches burn down to ember, you find yourself falling into dreams. At first they are simple, a loaf of bread, soft and steaming, torn in your hands, you bite, and it crumbles sweet on your tongue, filling your belly, quieting the ache that has haunted you for days. You chew slowly, savouring, letting the warmth spread through your chest. But the bread always hardens in your mouth. It grows heavy, bitter, turning to sand. You gag, you choke, you wake, your tongue thick with dust. Hunger greets you again, smiling like an old companion. Other nights, the dream is water, cool, clear, flowing from the Nile, poured into a cup of gold, lifted to your lips. You drink, and it quenches, it heals, it soothes. The river runs through your veins, washing away heat, washing away salt. You close your eyes in bliss, but the water turns brackish, black, thick with silt and rot. You taste clay, blood, offerings left to gods who never listened. You spit, but the taste clings. You wake with your throat burning, your lips cracked, your body thirstier than before. Sometimes the dream is land. You walk through fields of barley, green and gold, stretching to the horizon. The air smells of harvest, of bread, of life. You touch the grain, and it bows to your hand. You lie among it, soft as linen, cool as shadow, and you believe you are home. But the fields fade into desert. The stalks wither, the soil cracks, The wind rises with sand. You run, but there is nowhere to run. The desert swallows you, and you wake with grit in your teeth, your lungs aching with dust. There are brighter dreams, too. You dream of feasts in golden halls where figs burst in your mouth, where wine flows into your cup, where roasted ducks drip with fat, where honey cakes crumble between your fingers. You sit on cushions, your belly heavy, your hands jeweled, your body perfumed. Music plays, women dance, laughter fills the air. For a moment you believe you are Pharaoh. You lift your cup in triumph, but the music twists, laughter breaks, the dancers vanish, the feast rots before your eyes. The figs shrivel, the wine sours, the bread moulds, the meat crawls with flies, the honey cakes turn to ash. You gag, you clutch your belly, you wake to the bitter taste of onions, the sour smell of beer, the emptiness gnawing you hollow. Sometimes the dream is freedom. You slip through the corridors unseen, past guards, past priests, past nobles in their glittering linen. You walk out into the desert, your steps light, your body unbound. You run across the sand, the night wind cool, the stars wide above you. You are no longer servant, no longer shadow. You are nameless, but you are free. And then you stumble. Your legs sink. The sand pulls you down. Deeper, deeper. You claw, you gasp, but the desert swallows you whole. You wake with your nails broken, your body heavy, your breath shallow. Freedom was only a trick. The gods enter your dreams too. Sometimes they are silent statues, their painted eyes glowing faintly in the torchlight. Sometimes they move. Horus spreads wings that blot out the sky. Anubis leans close, his jackal face sniffing your breath. Thoth scratches in a book with reed pen, his ibis beak clicking, noting your name. Sekhmet snarls, her teeth gleaming, her mane blazing fire. They speak words you do not understand. They demand things you cannot give. They watch you as though you are less than dust, less than reed, less than insect. You bow in your dream, the same as you bow in waking, and still you wake with their eyes upon you. There are dreams darker still, dreams of the dead. Servants who vanished in the night return, their faces pale, their mouths open in silence. They touch your shoulders, your arms, your throat. Their fingers are cold, their eyes empty. They do not speak, but you know what they want. They want you to join them. They want you to follow. You close your eyes, you shake your head, you whisper prayers. You wake sweating, shaking, whispering names you never knew. And yet, dreams are mercy. They are cruel, they twist, they rot, they mock you, but still, they carry you away. They let you leave the stone floor, the lash, the hunger, the endless rituals. For a time, however short, you are elsewhere. You are free. Even if freedom is only sand. You are full. Even if fullness turns to rot. You are blessed. Even if the gods laugh in silence. Dreams are lies, but they are gentler than truth. You learn to welcome them. You close your eyes eagerly, not to sleep, but to drift into the world where bread is soft, water is cool, land is green, feasts are sweet, gods are near, freedom is possible. You know it will all twist. You know it will all crumble. Still you surrender. Still you drift. Still you dream. And when morning comes, when the torches flare again, when the sandals scrape, when the overseer's voice barks you back into labour, you rise slowly. You remember the bread, the water, the feast, the freedom. They fade, but they carry you. They give you strength enough to lift, to sweep, to bow, to endure. For in truth, your life belongs not to Pharaoh, not to priests, not to gods. It belongs to your dreams. Until tonight comes again, and you surrender once more to the only mercy left. The end does not arrive with trumpet or flame. It does not come with the gods descending, nor with the Pharaoh's voice breaking the sky. It arrives quietly, as the Nile floods quietly, as sand drifts quietly, as night falls without sound. It creeps into you slowly, so slowly you do not notice until it is already inside your bones. Your body falters first. Knees that once bent easily before overseers now tremble. Hands that once carried jars now drop them. Arms that once ground grain now ache with the weight of air itself. The rope at your waist digs deeper. The linen on your back feels heavier. The sandals beneath your feet cut sharper. Even the act of breathing feels like labour. The palace does not pause for you. It never will. The tasks demand you still. The rituals bind you still. The guards watch you still. But your body betrays you piece by piece. The others see it. They do not speak, but they glance. They know what it means when a servant slows, when his cough lingers, when his back stoops more than before. They know because they have watched it happen again and again. Each time the end is the same. Some collapse by the grainstones, hands still grinding until they fall still. Some faint in the temple halls, incense smoke filling their lungs until they choke. Some slip on stone, crack skulls open, blood washing into grooves carved long before. Some simply fail to rise in the morning, their mats empty by dawn. No one asks, no one answers. To ask is to invite your own end sooner. The overseers notice too. They bark louder, strike harder, withhold more. They believe the lash will force life back into you, as if flesh is clay to be reshaped. It does not. The lash cuts. The hunger deepens. The silence grows heavier, and you fade. The priests say death is a passage, that the soul is weighed against a feather, that the just will walk fields of barley forever, watered by the Nile, warmed by the sun. You wonder if this is true. You wonder if the gods will even remember to weigh you. Perhaps your heart will never see the scale. Perhaps it will sink into darkness instead, swallowed by Amet, devourer of the forgotten. You are not Pharaoh. You are not priest. You are shadow. Shadows are not judged. Shadows are consumed. The palace itself seems to sense it. The walls lean closer, painted eyes watching with greater hunger. The statues glow faintly in the lamplight, as though they wait for you. The torches sputter more often when you pass. The guards glance, their hands tight on spears. Even the rats seem bolder, circling near, as if they smell the end before you admit it. When it comes gently. Your body grows too heavy to rise one morning. The lash strikes, but you do not move. The shouts rise, but you do not hear. The sandals scrape closer, but you do not care. You lie still on the stone, its coolness seeping into your bones, its silence wrapping around you. Hunger no longer claws, thirst no longer burns, pain no longer bites. Everything softens. They drag you away, but you do not resist. They carry you through corridors you once swept, past statues you once bowed to, past chambers where nobles laughed, past temples where incense rose. You see them dimly, as though through smoke. They set you down in a place you do not know. Perhaps a storeroom, perhaps a pit, perhaps the riverbank. You do not ask. You cannot ask. You cannot speak. You cannot move. The last thing you feel is the stone beneath your back, hard, unyielding, eternal. It is the same stone you slept on, the same stone you bowed upon, the same stone that built the pharaoh's tombs. You realize you have been lying on your grave all along. Every floor of the palace is coffin, every wall a shroud, every chamber a tomb. You have lived inside your burial from the first breath to the last. The gods do not come. The pharaoh does not speak. The priests do not chant. The guards do not pause. The Nile does not rise. The desert does not hush. The end arrives, and no one notices. And yet, in that silence, there is peace. You no longer bow. You no longer kneel. You no longer carry. You no longer hunger. You are gone, and the palace remains. The rituals continue. The lash falls on others. The bread is eaten by others. The chants rise for others. But you are free. Your name vanishes quickly. No one speaks it. No one remembers it. Perhaps you never had one at all. You were only a shadow, and shadows fade. But the stone remembers, the walls remember, the gods, silent though they are, remember in their own way. The Nile carries you in its water, the desert holds you in its sand, the night hides you in its silence. And now, at last, you sleep. The palace is far behind you now, the corridors of painted eyes, the chants of priests, the crack of the lash, the smell of incense and sweat, all dissolve. The stone that bruised your knees, the rope that bound your waist, the bread that cut your gums, all fade. What remains is silence, heavy and endless, deeper than the Nile, wider than the desert. You drift in it, weightless. The gods do not come. No Horus with wings of gold, no Anubis with jackal grin, no Re blazing above. Their silence is complete, and in that silence there is a strange comfort. You no longer bow, you no longer kneel, you no longer hunger, you no longer wait. Your name vanishes first. It slips from memory, slides from lips, falls into dust. Not the priests remember, not the guards, not even the other servants who once slept beside you. You are gone, and with you, even the sound of your breath. The palace remains. The Pharaoh's court still hums with ritual and cruelty. The torches flare, the sandals scrape, the overseers shout, the priests chant. Others take your place. Others bend where you bent. Others bleed where you bled. You are forgotten. You are erased. But the stone remembers. It remembers your footsteps, faint grooves worn into its surface. The walls remember, the painted eyes carrying the ghost of your shadow. The Nile remembers, its waters thick with silt and the dust of countless bones. The desert remembers, swallowing names and leaving silence. And the shadows remember. They carry you softly now, folding you into their endless night. No hunger here, no lash, no task, only the long forgetting. No one remembers your name, not even the gods, but the dirt does, the shadows do. And now, at last, you sleep.